The Know Your Gear podcast.
It's about the experience. I want to make music. I buy a fuzz pedal because I want to make songs that were made with fuzz pedals. I want to experience music. Listening to music is the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. Sam says, hey, I just can't do digital versus real amps. Really tried. Yeah, that's no problem. They said, tips on what gain pedals work well with the JTM20. Okay, so we'll go back and forth with this. First of all, there's nothing wrong with you if you can't do digital. Nothing. Like if you think digital sounds horrible, then it sounds horrible. The idea is no one should be able to tell you what sounds good or bad. You're the chef. You're the musician. It's your job. Even if you're a hobbyist, it's your job. That's part of this magic. It's to create. You're creating things. You're not just, I think hobbyists most so. I don't want to, the poor hobbyists get picked on the most, but they do, right? I've talked about this a lot. This industry is a kind of weird industry. It's one of the few industries I see where the hobbyists that support it, pretty much 90%, if not, they shit on them. I don't understand it. I've made sense of it. I understand why someone would say, hey man, only doctors and lawyers buy expensive guitars. I'm like, yeah, I get it, man. Stick it to the man. Like I've said, people make more than you can make fun of them. That's kind of how it works, right? You get to punch up. That's how it works, right? Rich people are assholes. Ha ha ha. It's kind of funny, right? If you said the other, it sounds mean and crazy, right? Poor people, what's their problem really, right? Like you understand what I'm saying. So, what I think's funny about this, is that as a hobbyist, if you're doing the hobby right, which is most people are just saying, oh, all they're doing is buying guitars. No, they're trying things. They're experimenting, right? That's how it works. Like I said, I don't understand the logic. I don't know where this weird, and it's not a YouTube thing. By the way, I know the YouTube communities get a lot of crap and the Reddits and stuff for stuff. They didn't invent this stuff. I owned a music store. This is what the crap was talked about in the music store all the time. Not us. We never said that in our store. I was happy to take your money, no matter what your reasoning was. You're like, oh, you didn't play great, but you want to buy a $4,000 PRS? I'm like, well, you know what? Your card swiped perfectly. So good for you. Please enjoy your life. So here's my point. My point is if you were going to learn to become a chef and you bought all kinds of pots and pans and knives and everything and ingredients, and everybody's like, why are you buying, tilapia? Well, I don't know, maybe that's not a good choice. Why are you buying sea bass? You don't even know how to eat sea bass. You're like, it's because I'm trying to experience it. It's about the experience. I want to make music. I buy a fuzz pedal because I want to make songs that were made with fuzz pedals. I want to experience music. Listening to music is the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. I'm just telling you I'm going to give you my testimonial. And then after that, I wanted to experience every element of that. I wanted to know what it was like to write a song. I want to know what it's like to figure out how to record something. I want to know how to make a tone. I wanted to learn every aspect of this experience, even if I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to produce records, but I wanted to learn how to record a little bit. Again, you want to have this experience. It's the passion part of you that's coming out. Now, granted, some of us do click and buy a little bit too much, right? That happens. We're all guilty. Some of us more than others. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is that don't forget what you're doing here, whether you're a hobbyist or you're a pro musician or you're a working musician or whatever title that they've thrown on you or that you want to be called, is that you want to have these experiences. And one of them is to create. You're creating a sound. And so if you go, hey, man, these guys all say, the Kemper's the cat, the cat's pajamas. That's a horrible saying, isn't it? Okay, so this is the new thing to do, but I don't enjoy it. Well, that's your job, is to figure out what you enjoy, what inspires you, what makes you do something. Some musicians really just focus on, and I've learned this really through the music store, something I probably want to learn anywhere else. But when you have to sell things to people, you learn what they care about. And if you're going to be successful in business, you're going to learn to take what they care about and help them figure it out. Working musicians, I don't know why I'm doing this. Okay, working musicians really like to play music in front of people. Like that's their passion. It's in them. Like I just want to play in front of people. So they don't need to impress people with a shiny guitar. They don't have, and by the way, impress is sometimes the wrong word. A lot of people go, oh, they bought an expensive guitar because they're trying to impress their, their friends and neighbors. I'm like, well, and sometimes they're trying to artificially give themselves some courage. Sometimes you walk up on stage and you just feel like you have a little bit more courage when your guitar is a little cooler, whether it's expensive or just you feel it's cool, right? It's a lot easier to walk up, kind of on a weird tirade. It's a lot easier to walk up to a girl if you think you dress nice. You're like, got my stuff dialed in. I walk up, I can talk to this person. I feel confident. Same thing with musician. You walk on that stage, you need all the courage you can muster. And if a $3,000 Strat does that for you, well, good. Because for some, that wouldn't even be close to what you need, right? You need more than that to get the courage. So my point is, tone-wise, we talk about it on the show, and I notice I don't take any hard lines in any direction which is where sometimes my channel suffers, because I would do a lot better if I just picked a vein. Like, in other words, picked a group of you and said, just feed you guys what you want, right? To say, hey, this brand sucks and this brand's great, and that's all we'll talk about every week. We'll just bash on these brands and praise these brands or whatever we talk about. But really, it's just about, like I said, I want to talk about it all because I'm interested in it all. But I think in your world, what reason I'm answering your question this way is because I think you should, if this is what inspires you to make great music, that's what you need. And like I said, and if what inspires you is a Boss Katana and a $300, Epiphone, like I said, that's awesome. I think that's cool. I think it's amazing. I'll segue into a funny story. So my buddy Pat, who's amazing, by the way, Pat was my first customer in my store, and he's just a lifetime friend. Really cool guy. He's moving. He's moving out of the city. So he's doing what a lot of people are doing. He's selling his big house, and he's going to a smaller house that's really cool where the weather is great. He's decided having a nicer house where it's 115 is not as cool, literally, as having a smaller house where it is cool. And so he's thinning down the herd, as we all know, and he's getting rid of a bunch of guitars. And he asked me if I'd help him sell them a little bit. Or maybe I volunteered. Actually, I volunteered. Let's just put it there. I volunteered to sell them. Anyways, and of course, I'm trying not to buy all of them. But he gave me a really nice gift, me and Shauna, this week. He said, hey, I got these concert tickets. I can't go. Do you want to go? So we went last night. I went and saw Christopher Cross, Men at Work, and Toto. So right now I can hear the, oh, that's awesome, and ooh at the same time, right? I'm a huge Christopher Cross fan. I am, right? It's just somebody who was the earliest memories for me in music. One of the earliest memories I have of music in my life is in my mom's car, sitting in the front seat when kids used to sit in the front seat with no seatbelt, because my mom's seatbelt was her arm, and Christopher Cross songs. That's like, she must have had the cassette. Kind of could have been 8-track. I'm pretty sure it was cassette though, but it could have been an 8-track. And we listening to that over and over again, because that's what happened back then when you didn't have streaming satellite or iTunes in your car. You listen to the same tracks over and over again. So we would listen to Christopher Cross. Of course, he was playing Tom Anderson guitars. Let me just tell you, Christopher Cross is 74 years old. His voice was amazing. His band was dialed in. The sound was perfect, and he was awesome. And nothing he played warranted a $4,000 Tom Anderson. Like, if I was the internet, I'd be like, man, you got a $6,000 custom Tom Anderson to strum just those 4 chords, right? His tone, by the way, was amazing. It was pretty well. He's playing some divided by 13s. Oh, he had 3 amps, because you need 3 amps. He had 3 divided by 13 amps and a huge pedal board. Huge meaning bigger than, right? Big enough. And then, of course, his Tom Anderson guitars. And I was laughing, going, isn't that funny? Like, if this guy wasn't Christopher Cross, if this guy was in a bar, 4 douchey guitar players would make fun of him. GC&D, man, $6,000 guitar for that. the guy's got more guitars than he's got chords, right? Like, it just made me laugh. In fact, at some point with Shauna, I just laughed at the show. I just laughed, right? Actually, I'll tell you exactly when I laughed. Even though he sings romantic love songs, which, by the way, take your women to those at concerts. That's a great idea. So anyways, they were watching it, and at some point he busts out, oh man, Christopher Cross. Let me tell you, Christopher Cross never going to see this, but just in case the internet's weird and Christopher Cross ever sees this, I'd like to point out, I bought your shirt. I bought my wife your shirt. You were amazing. And now I'm going to say the next thing, so please don't get mad at me. Boy, did he bust out this one pentatonic solo, and it was, it was average. It was boop, 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 boop. And the crowd, this is why I'm telling you this. He's like, boop, boop, boop. And they're like, wow. People are like, wow. And I'm like, blowing their mind, all 6 notes. So my point, why am I saying this? Not to bash on Christopher Cross. My point is to talk about this in a practical sense, which is, why does he have expensive guitars and expensive amps? Because Christopher Cross, that's what he wants to make music. That's what inspires him. That's what motivated him. The next band, Men at Work, had no amps on stage at all. I can assume all of it was digital. They sounded fantastic, by the way. And then, of course, if I don't say the next thing, you guys are going to kill me, which is then Toto came out. Of course, Steve Lukather played continuously. He was amazing. By the way, there's a Steve Lukather guitar right there. I did that as a tribute. Got to pull out a Steve Lukather guitar. This is my friend Pat's, by the way. Anyways, he was amazing. Toto was amazing. And they sounded great, and the show was amazing. And of course, he was playing his Bogner half stacks with pedals and of course his Music Man guitars. So that's my whole way of saying, this discussion every week. If there's one thing we could talk about that's more important than anything else in the show, is that as musicians that are trying to communicate with each other, even through the internet, even through QA, send me a topic or question, we talk. If there's one thing we should all learn from each other, is that we all have different needs and wants and desires of what we're trying to accomplish. And whatever it is that works for you, it works for you. It's okay, though, also to have a hard opinion on what you like. That's the other thing, too. You can, and I see this a lot. And I think it's because when I talk about the future is going to be modeling and modeling and, of course, profiling, I see people going, oh, but Phil, you don't understand. I'm like, well, wait a minute, man. I understand a lot. And I'm 4 amps because I don't have to drag them anywhere. Well, my point isn't that this is not as good as a profiler. My point is that this is harder than a profiler to move around economically and physically. And that is why those things are going to be prevalent in the future. And it's just about having a discussion about that. But man, yeah, so if you can have an amp, play an amp. One guy told me, by the way, a couple weeks ago, he said, Phil, what you don't understand is that everything goes in cycles. In 10 years, they're all going to be playing amps again. I'm like, if they can afford to, they will. That is true. But it's a lot of it is expense. A lot of them, I don't hear people saying, man, I don't need an amp anymore, Phil. I can use a modeler. I hear, man, Phil, it is so much easier to use the modeler. It's economically and physically. So if you like this clip and you'd like to watch another one, you can click right here. And if you want to see the entire episode of the podcast, you can click right there. As always, thank you for your time and know your gear.